Hello, and welcome to the Healthy Solutions for All YouTube channel. I'm Michelle Tonkin, ND, and today's episode is EMF affecting you? So stay tuned. Well, thanks so much for joining me again today. On today's episode, is EMF affecting you? So first off, what is EMF? Well, EMF stands for Electromagnetic Frequencies. And EMF has existed since beginning of time as our own sun produces EMF radiation. And we see this as actual visible light. But since the turn of the century, we have seen more and more things that actually emit radiation. Cell phones, PDAs, TVs, Wi-Fi. And the World Bank has estimated that about 87% of the population of today's world actually has access to electricity and appliances and things like that. So we're producing a lot of EMF on a daily basis. Now, some people believe that EMF is actually not harmful, but we're going to show you today that actually that's not the case. There have been over 500 studies that show that there is harmful effects of radiation from EMF, even at low exposure, which wouldn't cause any significant heating. And there's over 240 scientists who actually have peer-reviewed research that show the health effects of EMF and have cited these studies in order to have a call for appeal for stronger limits. So it's called the International EMF Scientist Appeal. And those who have signed this appeal make up a majority of experts on the effects of non-ionizing radiation. The appeal shares the following. I'm going to go ahead and quote this. It says, numerous recent scientific publications have shown that EMF affects living organisms at levels well below most international and national guidelines. Effects include increased cancer risks, cellular stress, increase in harmful free radicals, genetic damages, structural and functional changes of the reproductive system, learning and memory deficits, neurological disorders, and negative impacts on general well-being in humans. Damage goes well beyond the human race, as there is growing evidence of harmful effects to both plant and animal life. So a lot of things are affecting us from the EMF. Not only is it affecting us physically at the cell level, it's actually affecting animals and plants as well. So there are two types of radiation. The first type of radiation is a low-level radiation, also known as non-ionizing radiation. And this can include appliances, microwaves, cell phones, your Wi-Fi, and MRI'S. The second type is known as a high-level radiation, known as ionizing radiation, and this comes from the sun as well as X-rays. Now, it's shown that some distance from EMF actually helps to decrease the intensity of exposure. And there's some common sources of low to high level radiation, and we're going to go ahead and look at these. I'll pop them on the screen here for you. Things like microwave ovens, computers, the new house smart meters, wireless Wi-Fi routers, cell phones, Bluetooth, power lines, MRI'S. The second form, of course, we talked about is ultraviolet radiation from the sun and X-rays. Now, according to the World Health Organization's International Agency for Research on Cancer, EMFs are possibly carcinogenic to humans, and the IRARC believes that some studies show a possible link between EMFs and cancer in people. Now, a big concern for people with EMF is, of course, cell phones. Cell phones have dramatically increased since the 1980s. You know, the 1980s, I didn't have a cell phone at all. Basically, we all had landlines, and the big thing was getting that cordless phone, or the big, the phone that had the line that went forever. We had one in our house that was probably 2-3 feet in length, and we could go through the whole kitchen and, do laps, but I'm just kidding. But seriously, so, the cell phone is a very new technology. Unfortunately, it's everywhere. There's many computers everywhere, and even little kids today are using it quite often. So because of all the health concerns for EMF and the heavy cell phone usage that we are now seeing, there have been studies to show and to see if these cell phone usages are causing issues for people. So there was a study done actually in 2000 to compare cancer cases to those who used cell phones to those who didn't. And what they found is that the cancer rates with cell phone usage in more than 5,000 people in 13 countries around the globe was that they found a loose connection between the highest rate of exposure and glioma, a type of cancer that occurs in the brain and spinal cord. And these gliomas were actually found on the same side of the head that people used to talk on the cell phone with. So they didn't have enough conclusive evidence to say this was a causative agent of cancer, but that's what their findings was. They've also done several smaller studies that show that there's a connection between high levels of EMF exposure and increased certain risk of leukemia in adults, as well as apparently a link between EMF and leukemia in children. And this is what Healthline has to say, that there's a review of more than 24 studies on low-frequency EMF suggests that these energy fields may cause various neurological and psychiatric problems in people. This study found a link between EMF exposure and changes in human nerve function throughout the body, affecting things like sleep and mood. So another big concern for people is, of course, the 5G that is now in our society, especially modern society. So for the first time ever in history, we will be exposed to what is known as millimeter waves. In addition to the microwave technology, the microwaves, not the microwave that you use to heat up food, but actually microwaves, okay? These have been used in older technology from 2 to 4G. And they are saying that 5G is going to require about a cell antenna every 1 to 200 meters for the signal. This is going to expose a lot of people to millimeter. Now think about the size of this millimeter type of radiation. And so I'm just going to read a little quote from Scientific America online. And it says that 5G also employs new technologies, e.g. active antennas capable of beamforming, phased arrays, massive multiple inputs and outputs known as massive MIMO, which pose unique challenges for measuring exposures. Millimeter waves are mostly absorbed within a few millimeters of human skin and in the surface layers of the cornea. Short-term exposure can have adverse physiological effects in the peripheral nervous system, the immune system, and the cardiovascular system. The research suggests that long-term exposure may pose health risks to the skin, example melanoma, the eyes, example ocular melanoma, and the testes, example sterility. So 5G is a new technology, and because it's so new, there's not really a lot of research on its effects. However, there's a ton of evidence from the harmful effects of 2 to 3G. 4G, there's not as much research because certain governments are not quick to fund that. But we're still seeing an increase in certain types of head and neck tumors, which may, at least in part, be to cell phone radiation. And this, quote unquote, seems to be consistent with those control studies that show tumor risk in those who are, quote unquote, heavy cell phone users. So if you want to know more about that particular article that I got those quotes from, you can actually read about it. It's from an article in Scientific America Online by Joel M. Moskowitz, PhD, entitled, "We Have No Reason to Believe 5G is Safe." And we don't, folks. This is a new technology, and so I'm going to tell you some things later on to help protect you and your loved ones. So what's the current guideline for EMF exposure? Well, there's an organization called the International Commission on Non-Ionizing Radiation Protection, and they maintain the guidelines for EMF exposure. And they have the measurements for these EMFs and known as volts per meter. So this is the guidelines for the EMF exposure, and according to them, there's no known health effects if your exposure falls between or below these following guidelines. And I'll just go ahead and put that up on the screen, and you can see the guidelines that they have for EMF exposure. Now you can also go ahead and check EMF exposure in your house and things like that with EMF devices, EMF meters. There's not known how much accuracy they are on these ones. The best one that they've seen to have found is the metric and tri-field. But according to the resources I've studied, they're not really that effective on high frequencies, and the reliability is questionable. So I have had things scanned before. A friend brought over an EMF scanner in our house, and so I did see that there was potential for EMF exposure based on the machine. And I also had a protection on my smart meter placed, and that was measured before and after the protection was put on there, and I did see a significant decrease in EMF. So just check that out. So what are some symptoms of EMF exposure? So unfortunately, there's a lot of side effects that can be produced from EMF, and they can disrupt the body's normal frequencies that we are born with and we're supposed to function with. It can affect our biochemical communication process, can even affect our immunity. It's also can be shown to increase blood pressure, affect our cell health, and even cause DNA damage. And so this constant strain of EMF can be an invisible but harmful source that can affect our body, because we're not designed to live in this type of environment, these type of frequencies, for a long period of time. So some of these symptoms, and I'll go ahead and read them off to you, include sleep disturbances, including insomnia, headaches, depression, tiredness and fatigue, lack of concentration, changes in memory, dizziness, irritability, and also there's been shown to be loss of appetite, weight loss, restlessness and anxiety, nausea, skin burning and tingling, and changes in electroencephalogram, which measures electrical activity in the brain. So how can we protect ourselves? Well, first of all, limit your exposure. Only get MRI'S, X-rays as needed, and of course if you need an X-ray, I believe certain dental offices nowadays you can ask for shields to put over your body, protect your body from absorbing that. You can also go ahead and make sure that when you're sleeping, to keep that cell phone off. Make sure that you're not having that by your head all the time. Making sure that it's off when you're sleeping. Keep it away from you. Maybe put on airplane mode when you don't need the internet. Use earbuds. I'm not exactly a fan of earbuds, but if you're on your cell phone a lot, it's better than holding it right to your head. Maybe put on speakerphone. If you're very sensitive, turn that Wi-Fi off in the house when you don't need it. Also, you can go ahead and use something called bentonite clay. Bentonite clay has been around for thousands of years and actually pulls out metals, radiation, chemicals, pesticides from the body. It's a type of clay, and you can see on the screen the one I recommend here. I use this when I go to the dentist, like maybe a day or two after, pull those toxins in my body, or I've got my hair colored. It just pulls out those excess toxins. And also they've used bentonite clay in places like Chernobyl to actually help to mop up radiation toxicity in those areas. So I would definitely recommend checking that out. You can also use EMF technology. Now there's a lot of different types of technology on the market today. Some of them are scams. We've all fallen victim to that. Some of them are scams. They're not that good for you, or they're just, they don't work. But there's a couple good companies, a few good companies that I found actually do what they say they do. One of them is called Intune, and actually, as you can see, this bracelet that I'm wearing here, it actually puts frequencies in your body that are good for your body and help to balance your body as environment. The other one is called Zero Point Technology. Zero Point Technology actually uses things like pendants, so you can see the one I'm wearing here. They infuse the good frequencies into stones like the tiger's eye you're seeing here, and also discs like jade, to have beneficial frequencies to help aid and support the body. And I actually use those discs when I have PMS or cramping to take the pain away or other issues in my body. Lastly, there's another system that I've just started to be a part of called EMFXSecure. And the founder, named Katie Wyman, she herself had Lyme disease very severely and had issues with EMFs to the point where she couldn't function. So she developed this research of other people in Europe, and it actually helps to protect the body from all sides of up, down, and both sides of the body. And they have things for the car and the house and your body. And so it really is not only protects you from EMF, but also puts your body into the right frequency. So I'm just going to go ahead and actually read what she says about 5G from Katie Wyman. She says that research shows that normal exposure to electromagnetic fields of 60 Hz are proven to cause many health challenges. At the rate of 60 Hz, this makes your cells oscillate at approximately 60 cycles per second. Additional studies from Azuzu Hospital in Japan and Michigan State University have also shown that continued exposure to the alternating current of 60 Hz oscillation causes unhealthy cellular proliferation and can lead to increased disease. For example, our body's optimal health is found between 7 and 10 Hz. To put things into perspective, the new 5G frequency that is using cells, antennas, and satellites for conductivity produces between 600 megahertz to 60 gigahertz. So 1 gigahertz equals 1 billion hertz. That's about 1 billion times more than our body actually needs to maintain optimal health. So this technology 5G, unfortunately, is capable of reaching 60 billion times the desired frequency for optimal health in humans. And that issue, unfortunately, can cause a lot of problems. So, like she mentioned, we are supposed to be oscillating between 7 to 10 cycles per second. And the 5G is actually speeding us up anywhere in the millions to billions of frequencies. So that can be very harmful to our body at cell level and can open us up for disease processes. So I recommend checking out the EMFXSecure information on our site. Check out the systems that we have available through Katie. We have the things for the car, protect yourself from the car, especially those who have electric cars. They can produce a lot of EMF. We have things for Wi-Fi and the smart meters, even whole house protection for your entire home. So check it out, and if you have any questions, let me know. Well, thank you so much for joining me today here on this episode of Healthy Solutions for All YouTube channel. I hope this was informative, that you learned a lot. I know when I do these things, I always do a lot of research. I learn a lot myself. So we're learning together, and I hope that the Lord blesses you, makes His face shine upon you, and protects and keeps you safe during this season. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Subscribe to our channel, like, comment, subscribe, and feel free to share this video with friends and family and on anyone who you think might benefit. So thank you so much again. Check out our website and let me know if I can be of any help, okay? Have a blessed day over there. Talk to you soon.